Morning to all of you. Happy to see you on this March 26th. Welcome into Morning Invest. Today on the show, Social Security recipients are wondering where the heck their stimulus checks are. Many of you have written to me. What's going on? Well, you can actually blame some Trump appointees for holding up the process, actually trying to make it more difficult for you to get access to the benefits that you are owed. Yeah. It's not just stopping, by the way, at the Social Security Administration. It's also happening at the IRS. We'll tell you about that on the show today. Yesterday, President Biden held his first press conference. Faced some tough questions from reporters, finally. But it was really awful press conference because there was amazing amounts of questions that were not asked about, well, we'll get to it in a moment. But there was two main themes that emerged yesterday and a whole bevy of questions that were just not asked. It's amazing to watch the press sort of fawn and want to hear themselves talk and give a little soliloquy before they interview President Biden with a question. We'll play you some of this ridiculous sound. Plus, we're going to be keeping them honest today. Billionaires making money off of the pandemic, driving away competition, raking in trillions of dollars during the pandemic. And Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders this week continuing their hearings on taxing the wealthy. All of that and more on the show today. We've got some of your pet photos today. Will be here. David's in the control booth. How are you doing, my friend?
Good morning. I am good.
Top of the morning to you. Grab our daily newsletter. It's totally free. Right there on the screen. Go to morninginvest.com. Put in your email address because on Sunday, this Sunday, we're going to be doing something special with some different investing, different crypto, and different stock plays that I'm looking at. And so it's going to be like a bit of a Sunday investing note. So you're going to definitely want to be signed up to the newsletter. So you'll receive that on Sunday. We're going to be doing these from time to time. And yeah, I'm excited about that. Over is here, hanging out. And he's found his new sunny spot in my office, by the way.
Yeah, that looked cool with the sun coming in behind him this morning when I was looking at that.
Yeah, he's digging that spot. How's everyone doing today? Let me know where you're joining us from. All right, let's see what we got up here on the screen. So I'm getting a confidence monitor, but now I have my preview. I can see at least what I'm... Anybody saying hi in the chat, I want to be able to see that. Right here on the screen. Is our social feed working properly? YouTube?
Yes. Sorry, I was over there messing with the bot. Yes, it's all working.
Good morning from Jacksboro, Tennessee. Brenda. Jody is here. Grimskull is here from Evansville, Indiana. Is Evansville right near... I've been to Evansville. Is that right near Santa Claus, Indiana? True town. There's a town named Santa Claus, Indiana. And that post office actually handles a lot of the letters that come in for Santa Claus. I actually went and did a story there. But is that also the area of Indiana where there's two different time zones? So they don't want... One section of Indiana doesn't celebrate daylight saving time?
Yes, that is true.
In the chat. Yeah?
I'm from Indiana. I was born there.
Good to see everyone. Get your super chats. Grimskull says, yes, Southern Indiana. Yes, it is. Peter Smithies is here. Terry Fennell from Miami, Florida. Good to see you. Fennell, Golden State Warriors fan. California on SSI, no stimulus. Tanisha McLean in Northern California. Good to see you, Tanisha. Good morning from Indy. Brian P. Deborah Cassidy K. Good morning from Groesbeck, Texas. We're 45 miles outside of Waco. Tazewell. Kathy Miller's in Tazewell. And you know, when I lived in Bluefield, Virginia, in Bluefield, West Virginia, you had to say people would say Tazewell. It's like, no, it's Tazewell, right? Am I saying it properly? Thank you, guys. Grover thanks you as well. By the way, you see all this craziness with the Suez Canal. I mean, they are not going to get this thing. So there's this giant container ship, right, that's blocking the Suez Canal. And news reports this morning say that this thing could be trapped for weeks. And there are hundreds of ships that just cannot get through. I mean, this is going to, and one of them, a huge container distribution ship of toilet paper. By the way, this video from the Suez Canal Authority, they must be using a camera from the 1980s. like, hey, do we have a camera? Go get, dust off that camera from the 1970s out of storage, and let's go shoot some video of what's going on here. Thanks, Suez Canal. I'll send you an iPhone, get some better footage. Think about that. They're really struggling right now to get this thing. Could be weeks till this thing. This was on Twitter this morning, this puppy. Someone says, this dog needs to go to the Suez Canal right now to help. Watch this. Look at that. Get that dog to the Suez Canal right now to help. It's amazing. Let's divert it over here. No, over here. There we go. Right here. Here, let's bring it back over here. That's good.
Such a hard worker.
That's Grover. Grover approved. Yeah, Grover's a really hard worker too. What do you guys have planned this weekend? Tony Breeden says no stimulus yet. I think it'll be next Wednesday now. Jeez Louise. Bixby Girl says, I want to curl up next to Grover. Misfit Brit Grover's like, yeah, I need a nap. Yeah, he's been running around like crazy this morning. Rick Hoyt says, get a couple of Navy ships and blow it up. Happy Friday, March 26th, everyone. Welcome in. Hello to all of you beautiful souls. Welcome to Morning Invest, the only morning news show that's outside of the Matrix. Coming up on today's show, Social Security recipients are wondering where the heck their stimulus checks are. You can blame some Trump appointees for blocking them from being mailed. That's right. And Biden answers tough questions at his first press conference. We waited a long time for this. It's the first press conference for President Biden, and it's longer into his presidency than any other president in modern American history has waited to have a press conference. Can you guess what topic? Let me know in the chat if you can guess what topic didn't even receive one question from reporters. Yes, these reporters that are bought and sold by billionaire corporations couldn't ask one very important question. Can you tell me what it is in the chat? See who gets it right. And coming up today, keeping them honest. Billionaires making millions, billions, and trillions off of your pain and suffering. And they've seen their wealth explode during the pandemic. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren are holding hearings this week to try to do something about it. We hear from them. And if you want to be more informed and learn something new every morning, you should join our daily morning newsletter, which is sent out right to your inbox every morning between 6 a.m. and 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern. And the best part is it's totally free. All you need to do is go to morninginvest.com, the website, put in your email address. You'll be added to our list. It helps us, supports our show, keeps us what we're doing here. Plus, you get an awesome newsletter first thing in the morning. And as I mentioned, side note, this Sunday, we're doing something special. So we're going to be giving some different buys on different stocks and different, alternative currencies that I'm investing in right now. So we're going to have like a bit of a Sunday investor note. So you definitely want to sign up so you can get that Sunday newsletter. It's a special edition that we're doing on Sunday. So you please check it out. You do not want to miss that. So good to see everyone. Let's start this morning with the stimulus update. And let's start with those stimulus checks for Social Security recipients. Many of you have been writing me wondering what in the heck is happening with your stimulus check? Where is it? In fact, yesterday's show, we had a lot of you that are on SSI waiting. Where is my stimulus check? You're a Social Security recipient. I'm not getting it. I don't understand. And we haven't been able to get answers. We haven't been able to get any answers until today. Well, it turns out something dirty is going on. And we can blame the Social Security Trump appointees for it. So check this out. And I wish I was joking. I wish this was not true. But Trump appointees are sabotaging Biden's stimulus checks. On Wednesday, House Democrats Bill Pascrell and Richard Neal, John Larson, and Danny Davis, all members of the House Ways and Means Committee, sent a letter to the Social Security Administration Commissioner Andrew Saul, better call Saul, complete with an ultimatum. According to the letter, nearly 30 million Social Security and Supplemental Security income recipients, some of them the country's poorest and neediest people, were being prevented from receiving their $1,400 stimulus checks as part of this American Rescue Plan that was just passed. Because Saul was refusing to send the necessary payment files over to the IRS. So basically, they were purposefully stalling. The IRS is waiting on this information from the Social Security Administration. And they weren't sending it. I mean, weeks have gone by now since the American Rescue Plan has been signed into law. And many Americans have already received their payments. But the Social Security Administration's inaction was standing in the way, blocking this, of these beneficiaries receiving this cash aid. Can you believe that? Now there's escalating pressure on Better Call Saul. The letter gave him 24 hours to fix this. A few hours later, though, the SSA announced that they'd be sending the information the next day. So it literally took Democratic members of Congress to put pressure on them to send these files over to the IRS, and they'll have them over there, get them done. Dragging their feet on purpose. Now, Better Call Saul is the same guy, by the way, who wanted to make it more difficult for you to get access to benefits under the Social Security Administration as this Trump appointee. That's already been changed thanks to President Biden. But what has not changed is the fact that he's still employed. So President Biden, with executive action, made changes that will allow those with disabilities and others to get access to the Social Security benefits. That was something that Biden did when he came into office. Good for him. But he hasn't gone far enough. He needs to can this guy. This guy needs to be canned immediately. Can you imagine the neediest Americans waiting on this money, and he's just like twiddling his thumbs? We'll see how they do with this. It's like a Dr. Evil approach or something, And just for some context here, the SSA manages benefits for 61 million Americans who receive Social Security payments. 61 million Americans, along with 5 million additional people who get disability benefits via this supplemental security program, this income program, the SSI program. And the SSA also helps determine Medicare eligibility. So basically, it manages $1 trillion annual budget, dragging their feet. You have a growing number of members of Congress who are now pushing Democrats, or calling for these people to be kicked out. Saul himself and his deputy, Black. Saul and Black. Get rid of both of these guys. Senator Sherrod Brown, let me pull up his letter. He sent, this is what Senator Sherrod Brown from Ohio announced. I'm going to read this. Called for their resignation. This was his first act as chair of the Social Security and Pensions Subcommittee. And he's calling on President Biden to fire them both. The only problem is they're serving terms right now that go to 2025. 2025, that means they literally could be here longer than President Biden. So here's what Sherrod Brown wrote from his office. Announced today that he is assuming the chairmanship, blah, 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 and with the responsibility to protect and expand Social Security, address the insolvency of the multi-employer pension system, provide paid family and medical leave to American workers, and more. But his first act as chair of the subcommittee, Brown called for the immediate replacement of Social Security Commissioner Andrew Saul and Deputy Commissioner David Black. Saul and Black were key agents of the Trump agenda to systematically dismantle Social Security. Get them out of there. Meanwhile, there's yet another Trump appointee that's running the IRS. If that wasn't bad enough, you have another Trump appointee over at the IRS that could be stalling on that child tax credit from the stimulus. Now, remember, we've been covering this story here on this child tax credit, July being that deadline when we thought it would be implemented to get those child tax credits under the SSI. Well, on March 18th, Chuck Rettig, who's the head of the IRS, told a House Ways and Means Committee that he wasn't sure, that he could meet that deadline. And as you dig into his excuse, he said that the excuse was because that they extended the tax filing deadline for all of you. Instead of April 15th, it was moved to May 17th. And he said, quote, "We now have 1 month less to do the development for this child tax credit. I don't have the resources to devote to that portal until filing season ends, which is May 17th. So you've bought yourself an extra month and you have less time. You've given yourself a month more and now you have less time because now filing season is pushed back. It makes no sense. And according to the American Prospect, that alibi rings hollow. Because the later tax filing deadline gives the IRS an additional month to get the child tax credit system up and running before it's swamped with tax returns. Don't you see the logic in this? So now you've given yourself extra time. Use that time. It's not vacation. Set up the stinking portal so people can go in there and file to get their child tax credits. And for that matter, if the IRS is short-staffed, it's Rettig's own fault because he's cut staff at the IRS. Yeah, they cut back so they don't have to go after and audit billionaires. So they've cut back at the IRS. Smart move during a pandemic. So it's time for Biden to fire these guys and replace them with people that are actually willing to help the American people, not make it more difficult to get these benefits. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments below. Meanwhile, President Biden talked a little bit about the American Recovery Act yesterday in his very first press conference. This was, again, took longer into a presidency than we've seen from any American president in modern American history for a president to hold a press conference. Reporters asked questions. The majority of them were repetitive, of course. It's like this one reporter just asked you a question. And then another reporter asks the exact same question. Like, what a waste of time. Stop wasting our time with these ridiculous questions. But only 2 subjects came up, and they were all variants of the same subject. Immigration, southern border crisis, right? That was one question asked multiple times. And then the Senate filibuster. That was it. Biden had no actual news to offer on either of those subjects. In case you missed it, he's really, totally, absolutely committed to fixing the terrible situation at the border. That's what he said. And also not yet ready because he does not have the votes to blow up the filibuster. There was not a single question about the pandemic. Not a single question that has, for the past year, completely altered our American landscape. Not a question from reporters on that at all. It's still 1,000 people a day in the United States are dying.
I mean, I don't know. I've heard rumors that, he's getting questions ahead of time and stuff like that. I mean, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's accurate? Because, why would they not ask those questions?
Because they're more concerned about getting the questions on the filibuster. Because it just shows, I think, from the mainstream media organizations that they're tired of covering it. They're just not devoting airtime to it. Look, here's what's going on. It's the bosses, the mainstream media bosses. They want answers about the controversy at the border, right? Good questions, valid questions. And they want questions about the filibuster. And they want to make news. And, there's nothing really that is going to drive viewership more than those questions right now. They want a controversy. This is how the news media operates. He made a mention of last night. He talked about it, but no one followed up with him. He said we're going to try to get to 200 million shots in that first 100 days. He had originally tried to get to 100. Now he's pushing for 200 million. So he brought that up, but no reporters followed up with him about distribution. No one followed up about access to vaccine. No one followed up about, some of these hot spots that are popping up in Colorado right now. And there's a few other states, Connecticut, Colorado. We're seeing hot spots again. What are we going to do on Easter? Do you plan to, try to keep Americans home during Easter? Like, no questions like that. Nothing. Zero. Nothing. This is the media this is the fawning media, right? The liberal media loves to just fall all over themselves. He did not call on the OAN network. They were there. Not that they're a real network. He did not call on Newsmax. They're not a real network either. And he also didn't call on Fox. But he did call on a number of people, and he got some pretty testy exchanges. So let's watch some of the different testy exchanges. I'll play this one first on this question.
Sir, you blame the last administration, but is your messaging in saying that these children are and will be allowed to stay in this country and work their way through this process, encouraging families like Joselle's to come?
The idea that I'm going to say, which I would never do, if an unaccompanied child ends up at the border, we're just going to let them starve to death and stay on the other side. No previous administration did that either, except Trump. I'm not going to do it.
So, what is he going to do with these children that are coming to the border and, sleeping on mats and so forth? So he got into a pretty fiery exchange. Well, it wasn't fiery, but he was not happy about the question. As I think anyone can understand, I wouldn't. I think he answered this one pretty well, actually, on how does he feel about these children that are sleeping there and down there right now.
The Customs and Border Protection Facility in Donna, Texas, I was there, is at 1,556% capacity right now with mostly unaccompanied minors. There are kids that are sleeping on floors. They are packed into these pods. What is your reaction to these images that have come out from that particular facility? Is what's happening inside acceptable to you?
That's a serious question, right? Is it acceptable to me? Come on. That's why we're going to be moving 1,000 of those kids out quickly. That is totally unacceptable.
So he was not happy with that. Is that acceptable? I always think about in that context, like how would Trump have answered that? Like how would any, I think it was a good answer. I mean, that's how I would have answered it. I think. Absolutely not. It's horrible. It's abysmal. We don't want it. It's awful. It's not acceptable to me at all. What did you think of that response? I mean, I don't know how else you're supposed to answer that. They're not turning these kids away who, are coming to try to face a better life in this country. Get away from drug cartels and other awful, awful living conditions. He also took some fawning questions. We'll get to that in a minute. But here's a question on the filibuster.
We're ready to get a lot done. And if we have to, if there's complete lockdown and chaos as a consequence of the filibuster, then we'll have to go beyond what I'm talking about.
So he's prepared, possibly, to get rid of the filibuster. We do know that over the past few days, he's been holding private meetings with historians, looking to possibly get rid of the filibuster. What would that mean going forward? And it's looking increasingly likely that is going to happen. That's why you're hearing so much from Mitch McConnell crying about the idea of getting rid of the filibuster. And it's likely to happen. But there was this back and forth tiff that happened yesterday, which I thought was pretty interesting to watch. So this reporter, Yamiche Alcindor, from the PBS NewsHour show, I believe she's from the PBS NewsHour show. She asked this butt-kissing question. And there was a bunch of other liberal reporters that were there. They were like, what a question was that? Watch this, you're so great.
You've said over and over again that immigrants shouldn't come to this country right now. This isn't the time to come. That message is not being received. Instead, the perception of you that got you elected as a moral, decent man is the reason why a lot of immigrants are coming to this country and entrusting you with unaccompanied minors. How do you resolve that tension And how are you choosing which families can stay and which can go, given the fact that even though with Title 42, there are some families that are staying? And is there a timeline for when we won't be seeing these overcrowded facilities run by CPB when it comes to unaccompanied minors?
You know, you're such a humane and decent man. No wonder they're coming. I mean, that sounds like an OAN question to President Trump during one of those press conferences that everyone mocked. Like, Mr. President, you've been amazing. You've just been. I can't tell you how lucky we are to have such a humane president.
Well, that's just why.
You've
that's
said
to me why
over and over again that immigrants shouldn't come to this country right now. This isn't the time to come. That message is not being received. Instead, the perception of you that got you elected as a moral, decent man is the reason why a lot of immigrants are coming to this country and entrusting you with unaccompanied minors.
Because you're such a moral and decent man. That's why they're coming.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't seem like, I mean, they're like substantive questions that just weren't asked. So it's like, hey, you guys, we'll let you in. We'll let the media in, but you can't ask questions about this. You know, we're not going to ask any questions from any networks that we know would ask questions to try to get Biden. So it's like, it just felt, I don't know, just felt too fluffy.
Oh, it was a big wet kiss. And then, of course, you know, he didn't call on Fox. He didn't call on OAN. He didn't call on Newsmax. And Fox was upset about it. Their reporter, Peter Ducey, had a huge binder of questions. He's like, yeah, I'm serious. I had a lot of questions I wanted to ask. He asked like 12 reporters or 10 reporters questions, and none of them were conservative media. But that's how this goes. You know, when you have like a fawning press corps, that's what happens here. But it was interesting because her question got rebuttal from Jennifer Rubin over at the Washington Post. A fellow reporter said, Yamiche makes the statement unproven that his words set off a surge at the border. This is factually wrong. To which then they got into a Twitter spat yesterday. Yamiche then fired back, perhaps you haven't interviewed migrants. Ooh, burn. And asked them this question. But reporting bears out what I said, which is that some migrants are coming because of the perception that President Biden is more humane and is allowing unaccompanied minors to stay. So unfortunately, you're factually wrong. Ooh. And then this person jumps in, and Biden calmly and effortlessly explained precisely why the surges are completely consistent with historical trends, and that the surges were actually bigger under Trump. It's so good to have a grown-up in charge. So is that true? Really? Okay, let's take a look at some facts this morning on the surge at the border. From a year ago in 20 to this year, 2021, 165 increase at Big Bend, Texas. Del Rio, Texas, 141% increase. 31% increase in El Centro. 144% increase in El Paso. 20% in Laredo, Rio Grande, 114, all the way down. Those are pretty big increases. Unaccompanied alien children, 0 to 17-year-old, coming to the United States by sectors in Texas. So that's the number coming from the U.S. Border Patrol at the southern border. But don't let facts get in the way, folks. Do not let facts get in the way. President Biden also dealing with the question about tax reform and what's going to happen there, as a number of advocates right now are they're rallying their boats. They're getting their war weapons ready to go after Biden on taxes, because we know that a huge tax increase is coming for billionaires. And they're rallying right now. They're calling it, this is going to be the Super Bowl of tax reform. Groups, according to CNBC this morning, are gearing up for a fight over Biden that is going to raise taxes on the rich. The plan is expected to include tax increases on wealthier families and corporations as part of Biden's massive infrastructure proposal, right? Like, how are you going to pay for $3 trillion of infrastructure? Guess what? You're going to have to raise taxes on businesses and the richest Americans like Jeff Bezos and others. That's why Bernie Sanders is going after billionaires, along with Elizabeth Warren. and we'll get to that in a moment. First, I want to tell you about our show sponsor today, our friends over at Stamps.com. You need to save time. I can't stand going to the post office. It's one of those, I'd rather have a root canal than go wait in the line at the post office. And that's what you can do with Stamps.com. You don't have to go there or do any of that. You can just stay home, print all your postage right from your computer, and you're going to actually get a free digital scale and a 4-week trial plus free postage when you give them a try and use our promo code INVEST. Just at the top of the page, when you go to Stamps.com, there's a little microphone icon at the top. Just type in the word INVEST, and you get a free digital scale and free postage. What's great about Stamps.com is it brings the entire U.S. Postal Service and UPS right to your computer. It's a must-have for any business, whether you're a small office sending out invoices or an online seller shipping out boxes and orders, or even a giant warehouse sending thousands of packages a day. Stamps.com can handle all of it, and you save 40% off post office rates and 62% off of UPS shipping rates. So great. Stamps.com is a fraction of the cost of those expensive postage meters. So why wouldn't you use it? I mean, it makes no sense, right? Why would you go to the post office and pay 40% more? Why would you go to UPS and pay, ridiculous? You're going to save 62%. Of course you would use this. So check them out today. Go to Stamps.com. Click on the little microphone at the top of the homepage and just type in the word INVEST. That's Stamps.com. Promo code INVEST to get that free digital scale and free postage. Check them out and try their trial for a few weeks. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again. All right, I want to talk about, let's keep them honest today, the billionaires and the billionaire class. Some interesting new reporting out this morning reveals that a record number of people in the United States lost their jobs and struggled to put food on the table during the past year of the pandemic. How many of you watching right now have been experiencing that? And the combined wealth of 657 billionaires in the country grew more than $1.3 trillion. Let me repeat that. 657 billionaires in the country grew their wealth more than 1.3 trillion over the last year. Nearly 45%, including Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos, saw his personal wealth increase by 65 billion. More than $7 million every hour he is making. How much did you make this hour? Joe, let's ask Joe Manchin, because $11 an hour is okay for him in West Virginia. Bernie Sanders wants $15 an hour, but Jeff Bezos is making $7 million every hour. And they're often leading companies who've benefited from the pandemic conditions by us having essentially their competition shut down. It's pretty remarkable. Chuck Collins is a reporter on this. He's written a couple of books on this and these profiteers, and his take is pretty startling. Listen to the data that Chuck Collins has uncovered about these trillionaires, these billionaires, and how they can, and by the way, they've laid people off and still made billions in profits.
And you mentioned a couple who, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk. But what we found was that there was a whole group of people, almost 50 billionaires, whose wealth has gone up over 100%. And they are often leading companies who have benefited from the pandemic conditions by having essentially their competition shut down. So they're the online retailers, the online telemedicine. And then think about it, any of the companies that we're sort of depending on while a bricks and mortar economy has been shut down, those are the ones that have seen their wealth surge dramatically. And as you said, we're talking about 657 billionaires whose combined wealth is, 1.3 trillion increase in the last year, but they have 4.2 trillion total, which is, almost double the amount of the wealth of the bottom half of U.S. households. So these folks have reaped enormous windfalls in this pandemic.
Aretha Hope in our chat says Walmart is firing people. Bernadette Coates says Jeff Bezos should have to pay 4%. It's unbelievable. And this is why Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders proposing new measures to address the economic inequality in the country, and they're been holding hearings this week to try to stop it. Here's Bernie Sanders at this hearing talking about these billionaires.
And meanwhile, we're looking at more hunger in America than at any time in decades.
Senator Sanders is holding another hearing.
We'll be asking about how it happens that the top 1/10 of 1% now owns more wealth than the bottom 90%. 1/10 of 1% more wealth than the bottom 90%. And two individuals, Bezos and Musk, now own more wealth than the bottom 40%. And meanwhile, we're looking at more hunger in America than at any time in decades.
Senator.
And we're quibbling over, and when we have guys like this, Better Call Saul, keeping you from getting your stimulus checks from the Social Security Administration because he's dragging his feet on purpose. And this guy at the IRS saying, these Trump appointees, we can't, we just don't think we can get it done. How are we going to get this child tax credit done by July? We're just too busy. We don't think we can get it done. Meanwhile, look at these numbers this morning. There are now more Americans on long-term unemployment than there are on regular state unemployment aid. Millions of Americans have been jobless for a year, according to Heather Long, who's done amazing reporting through this pandemic, by the way. She really finds interesting statistics that everyone else is ignoring. Millions of Americans out of work for over a year. That question, by the way, came up during the Fed Chief Jerome Powell testimony the other day. Like, we know you've been worried, Powell, about this long-term unemployment. People unemployed for a long amount of time, they lose their skills. I mean, I play guitar, and I don't play it as much as I'd like to at all. And I know when I don't play, fingers get rusty. These guitars back here get covered in dust. You lose skills. That's the same thing with workers, making them less hireable and less likely to go back to a job once it becomes available again. Huge problems. And so this data, yes, jobs numbers were down a little bit, an improvement last week. We got the new jobs numbers yesterday. But still, when you dive into this data, it's not good. 18 million have been jobless for a year. And look at veterans too, like 8,000 veterans. Like we're a country, we can spend $750 billion a year on our defense budget. But when it comes to veterans, what do we do there? Bye-bye. You're not part of the military-industrial complex anymore. Not really helping us in any meaningful way, unless you want to go become a defense contractor yourself now that you're out of the military. Meanwhile, Amazon workers still trying to unionize in Alabama, and this would help them improve their working conditions, like, not having to go to the bathroom in bottles because you're afraid of getting yelled at for missing your quota. Now, we covered this story on yesterday's show. And there's some more backlash this morning over this Amazon tweet. Now, you remember yesterday, this was Amazon's own Twitter account tweeting this. When Representative Mark Pocan from Wisconsin tweeted this in response to the CEO, said so David Clark, the CEO of Amazon, tweeted, "We welcome Senator Sanders to Birmingham and appreciate his push for a progressive workplace. I often say that we are the Bernie Sanders of employers. But that's not quite right because we actually deliver a progressive workplace, like a slap to Bernie Sanders, basically. Like, we are a progressive workplace. Bernie Sanders just says he is, but then can't get legislation passed. That's his fault, by the way." Then Representative Mark Pocan responds, "Paying workers $15 an hour doesn't make you a progressive workplace when you union bust and make workers urinate in water bottles." And then, of course, Amazon fired back, "You don't really believe the peeing in bottles thing, do you? If that were true, no one would work for us. The truth is that we have over 1 million incredible employees around the world who are proud of what they do and have great wages and health care from day one." Ooh, well, this set off a firestorm yesterday. And Ken Klippenstein, who I've actually invited to come on the show, he did some great reporting over The Intercept on this. Documents show Amazon is aware drivers pee in bottles and even go to the bathroom on their routes, despite company denial. Yeah. He has documents. He knows that he's received, that Amazon is aware of this. To which this tweet, This article from Vice, also reporters at Vice and The Intercept doing great work on this. They jumped all over the story. Amazon denies workers pee in bottles. Well, here are those pee bottles. But yeah, that doesn't happen though. Total denial. So these guys continue to make trillions. They continue to rake in money off the backs of workers, discouraging them from unionizing. Workers in Minnesota at an Amazon warehouse stormed out over for a variety of reasons. Thought that they were being retaliated against for actually just wanting to have a normal shift and not have to break their back. Oh, we can't go to the bathroom because we might not hit our quota and then we will be fired. Oh, and you can biometrically track me for everything. But so this, when you send out a tweet like this, Amazon, you better expect to have, proof to back it up. Well, reporters managed to get proof that you're full of crap. Did you find out from your brother, by the way? Now, you said your brother worked in Amazon. I mean, it's like they don't want to go. They're worried about missing this quota. So they just, they that's what they do. And then they don't want to walk like 2 miles to get to the bathroom inside one of these big warehouses,
Yeah. He said that our facility wasn't ran that way. Honestly, the people that had trouble with time off task were people that meandered, came back late from break, lunch. We essentially were given 45 minutes a shift that we could be on the clock, not on break and not working. It's an unpopular opinion for sure. It honestly wasn't that bad of a place to work. It was busy and hectic, but you could see the people that wouldn't make it. It's not for everybody. There is pressure for sure, as a percentage of the lowest productivity employees are let go every week. If you were bottom 5% 2 weeks in a row, you had to be retrained. If you remained there, you were terminated. Usually they had people retrained before letting them go.
Wow. Matthias in our chat says, and we can open up for some super chats here now. Matthias says, my roommate was fired for being 1 minute over the bathroom break at Amazon. Wow. Nicole Spann says, Amazon has been disgusting when it comes to their employees. I work in the store at Whole Foods. There are COVID-19 cases every other day at my location. Sin Tolstega says, Clayton said more about the SSA in 5 minutes than SSA has said, period. Thank you. It's disgusting. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. It's this guy who's wanted to, Trump appoints him, who's not a friend of the Social Security Administration. I mean, he's not a friend of you getting Social Security. He's wanted to dismantle it. And he tried to, and he did dismantle big pieces of it. And so did this guy at the IRS, laying people off, cuts. And these are the people we're relying on to get stimulus out to you guys? The old white guys really care about you, don't they? Hey, we got 3 new channel members today. You can become a channel member and support independent journalism by going to morninginvest.com/join. Very easy to do, morninginvest.com/join. And you can support our show for less than a cup of coffee. So thank you so much for watching us give you, we hope, the straight news with no spin.
All right, ready?
Let's fire him up.
All right, here we go. We got Terry Fennell, new $4.99. Thank you. Gina Peoples, new member. Welcome to the gold level. Francisco Gonzalez, $5. Hello. Any news on what happens to us people that were supposed to be DD, the stimulus, on the 17th, but were sent to a tax prep account and now missing?
Francisco, if you were supposed to be on a direct deposit, the stimulus on the 17th, it was sent to a tax prep account and it's now missing. I would talk, first of all, you have to talk to your tax preparation account people. Like, are you with H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt? Let's ask because we have a few, I think we have 2 people who watch our show from Jackson Hewitt here watching right now. And talking tax. John, if anyone wants to answer that question, are they supposed to go to like Jackson Hewitt and ask them if it was sent to that account, or has that account been closed and you now have no access to it? I ultimately think if you didn't get access to it, there is a recovery rebate section on their website where you will have to go. Let me pull it up here. On irs.gov, you'll have to go to their website. And here we go. So if you're paying attention, Francisco, take a look at your screen. See this big pile of money picture right here? If you didn't get it, you'll want to go to this recovery rebate credit. This will cover all of the recovery stimulus packages, the $1,200 one, the $600 one, and this most recent $1,400 one. So if you don't think you got it, go here. But talking tax, John says, my first contact would be the tax prep place, such as H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt, before contacting the IRS. Okay, I think we covered you on that question, Francisco. Thank you, John, for answering it.
Okay, we got Heather Taylor, new member, welcome. Richard Lehman, $2. Does Biden finish his term or Harris?
That's a good question. The conspiracy theorist in me thinks that Biden, we'll see. But I mean, if he, resigns and turns the reins over to Harris, I mean, that might be. But I think if you heard him at that press conference, he's basically like, I got 2 more. I think I could be a 2-term president. And there were a lot of, MAGA people who think that he's, that he's demented and he doesn't, cognitively. So Republicans were watching this press conference very closely last night, and they were disappointed. In fact, a number of members of the Republican side, senators, and came forward yesterday and said, we've had private meetings with him where he is sharp as a tack on these issues, and no. So there's like this MAGA conspiracy, over here that says he's like, he's got dementia. And then you have like Republicans actually who came to his defense and said, no, we had very substantive discussions about nuanced details in these pieces of legislation, and no. And watched that press conference last night, like trying to trip him up on any of those things. Didn't happen. And I read a couple of different Republican conservative takes on the press conference last night, and they're like, MAGA people are going to be upset because he did well. But the question is age. I mean, he's what, 78? I don't know. You have to have the stamina to do that kind of job at that age, and be, cognitively there. We'll see.
Yeah, not many of them come in with white hair. They come in with regular hair and then they leave with white hair. So if he came in with white hair, what's he going to leave with? No hair?
It's good. Yeah, exactly.
Zenith Star 20, $10. I was curious your thoughts on Biden's statements about Putin and what you believe Biden may have meant when he said Putin will pay and you will see soon. Kind of off topic, LOL. Just curious.
I don't know. I thought it was weird. Because right now you've got like China and Russia kind of sending messages to the President Biden, which is like, hey, don't judge us. Like, leave us alone. And I thought it was he told over, because there was 2 different moments. This wasn't just the first one. Over the weekend, remember, where he was interviewed by George Stephanopoulos, he was asked about Russia, and he said, Putin will pay the price. Like, what does that mean, though? Diplomatically? Tariffs?
For the wall?
Trade? Or militarily? And then, of course, this comment last night, too. And it's bizarre. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Look, of course, they are ramping up pressure. You and I were texting about this last night, but it's like the U.S. now needs new enemies, right? China. We need to pretend that we need new enemies, so we've got to build up a massive military budget, even though our military is already twice as large, or even almost 3 times as large as China's. you're hearing now, we need to keep building up this military. We got to keep up with China. It's like,
I like what General Clark said about it. He said, when you're a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. And it's like, we have such a big military, we have to justify its size by finding something to do with it. It's like, we can't just leave it dormant. It has to be doing something. Otherwise, they don't get that money. It can't sit dormant. It has to do something.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can't just have these like jet planes and drones sitting there, using them at a kid's soccer practice. They've got to be used for what they're used for, which is bombing and killing people. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, basically comparing last night, Chinese President Xi to Putin, and a few days earlier called Putin a killer. He said that's what he said. So you're calling them the same people. How are we gonna, So you're seeing this ramped up. Here we are. We're coming for you, China, and that's how we're gonna justify this massive military-industrial complex.
Well, and did you see that where it was talking about how what we spend on intelligence alone is more than Russia spends on their entire military?
Yeah, because when we add up our military, it's more than all of the 10 the biggest nations combined.
6 of which are our allies.
Right. So we need to be bigger than our allies. Thank you, Zenith Star, for that question.
Gina Brown, $5. My mom claimed my 19-year-old last year and never received the $1,400 for her. Already checked the IRS too, not available. Is there anyone to reach out to?
I never received, but my mom claimed. So this already, I mean, you're just talking about the 1,400, the one that just passed? Yeah, again, if you didn't receive it, you'll have to end up going to the IRS website and go to that recovery section, the recovery rebate section here. I don't know if like you were owed it. You went through, you get my payment status. You're trying to get your refund status. You get your payment status. And then if you haven't received and you think you're owed it, you'll have to go through this recovery rebate credit page right here with the stack of money and make sure that you file it. So maybe it just never came to you, never arrived. Maybe they sent it out on one of those debit cards and it didn't make it to you. Any number of reasons. It's still kind of early. They still haven't gotten all these checks out yet, Gina. So, it might still be on its way to you. But it's so frustrating. Like, you're owed one. You go back to you go back right on the website at irs.gov and you go to find out, get my payment, and it says like unavailable. It's like, well, what does that mean? What does unavailable even mean? It's awful. So hopefully, yeah.
Sheila Gerke, $5. Family of 6, not SSI. We qualify, but no data provided on portal. Waiting impatiently. I live in Arizona. Anna Gug, $9.99. I live in Arizona as of yesterday. Governor Ducey fully opened bars and stated masks are no longer mandatory. What is he thinking? My dad died from COVID. I can't get an appointment for vaccine. I'll admit I'm really worried.
Well, I guess we're going to see.
Can you go back to you?
Sorry. What am I doing? Yeah, I mean, well, if President Biden's saying we're going to get, because we now know that 25% of all Americans have gotten at least one dose so far. And if they're going to try to hit this 200 million dosage by 100 days, that's encouraging. But why aren't you eligible yet? Have you also, one thing you could try to do is, if in your county or area where the shots are available, try to see about even if you have to drive an hour or some, like I was mentioning the other day, people who were in the Bay Area were going over to Modesto and getting the shots when the Bay Area ones are locked up or behind, taking too long. So people are finding that if they drive an hour to get it, they can get it. So maybe you want to look into like going to a different community.
Amy Perkins, $5. This past year has been rough. My twin sons had to go stay with my mom because I couldn't afford to buy food. This country handled the pandemic horribly.
Yes.
Matthew Hooker, $5. I think everyone's just burned out on super conservative right-wing media for the past 4 years.
I think so. I want to show you this though. Rick Hoyt, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm just burned out on media in general, like mainstream media. It's a joke. It's a complete joke. You're referring to Rick saying you're wrong about the China and Russia have more ships and subs and aircraft than the U.S.?
Yeah, I want to try to get up this. So let's kill the music a second. So yesterday, over the weekend, there was a pretty remarkable piece of video that surfaced. I was unaware of it. Hat tip to you, David, but also to Kyle Kalinske for finding this video. And it's a show on CNN that I never watch. Fareed Zakaria's show, GPS 360 or whatever it's called, GPS or something. And, you know, we talk on this show all the time about the military industrial complex and the amount of money that we spend on our military when millions of Americans are suffering. When we have a border crisis, we have, you know, kids that don't have internet access for virtual schooling. We have roads crumbling and bridges crumbling. We have processed food for kids' lunches. Why are we the fattest country in the world? Yet we have military bases all over the world. And over the past few weeks, since President Biden has been inaugurated, you've been hearing the drumbeats now about China and this justification for this massive military budget that they, you know, of course, defense contractors want this money increased. They want their budget increased, and they need to justify it some way. They need to justify it some way by building up their military and creating a new enemy and making us believe that we're under imminent attack. You know, my son last night asked me, because I was playing something about Afghanistan. My son said, "What's going on in Afghanistan?" I said, "Well, we're trying to get out of there, but who knows if the military-industrial complex will let us actually remove ourselves from Afghanistan. Why are we still in a war 19 years later? What are we doing there? What are we doing in Syria?"
I mean, technically,
And
we
I said,
never
"My
left
son,
World
you know,
War II.
Right, yeah, we have bases in Ramstein, Germany, where we've launched these drones. In Japan, where we have bases.
Everywhere we go, we never leave.
All throughout Europe. Yeah, you cannot, you know, I told my son it's very difficult to like wind that clock back. And I explained to him what Dwight Eisenhower said when he was leaving as president of the United States, and he was the Allied Supreme Commander of World War II, saying, you know, this military entrenched industrial complex, you know, we need to be aware of it because it's now, once it's entrenched, you're never going to put that genie back in the bottle.
It's
imagine exactly the case.
Imagine a big snowball rolling down a hill and it's getting bigger and gaining momentum. It's not going to, you can't stop it until it hits something bigger than it that has the power to stop it.
Right. And it's all promulgated by fear, right? So we need to build up this massive military because, well, what's going to happen with the Soviet Union? You know, what's going to happen with China? Are they going to take? So my son said, well, why do we have so many bases? I said, good question, son. You know, people will argue that it makes us safer. And I say, safer from whom? Think about the violence that we've seen in the United States at home. I mean, literally, the violence we've seen in the United States has skyrocketed. We are nearing the UNESCO World Peace Index close to Iraq for unsafe countries. Go to the top of the list, the safest countries in the world: New Zealand, Iceland, Portugal. United States, like 130th on the list, close to Iraq. So who are we actually, how are we making ourselves safer? From who? Putin? Do you feel like you're under immediate threat by Putin?
If you watch Rachel Maddow, you do.
Right. Do you feel like you're under immediate threat from President Xi, China? Like we're being attacked? And that so much so that we Now, we can talk about cybersecurity, of course. We can talk about diplomatic discussions. We can talk about trade. But to build up massive aircraft carriers and jets and bombs to continue this charade so that we can show strength in the South China Sea?
Well,
anyway, this weekend, this Fareed's...
I just want to say really quick, like the thing is, like what people don't understand is like we're supposed to be fighting this global war on terror. But for every innocent person we've killed, which is the majority of people, 99% of the people killed in these drone strikes have been innocent people. For every innocent person we kill, 10 more want to hurt us. So we've exponentially increased the people around the world that want to hurt us simply because we're killing them. What would we do?
And that's what I said. That's what I said to my son. I said, do you think like, he said, why don't we have all these bases? I don't get it. I said, it's because it's part of this military industrial complex under the guise of making us safer. And we can extend our footprint all over the world. And I said, imagine, do you think there would ever be a Chinese military base in the United States? Do you think that there would be an Italian military base in the United States? That we would let them fly jets in the United States and do training runs? Absolutely not. But we do that in Germany. We do that all over the world. We do that in Portugal, Spain, Italy, France. We were in Naples, just driving down, and we're like, oh, huge military base, U.S. military base. Like, oh, you never know where you're going to pop up and see a military base. So why are we there? And why are we bombing these countries and not even talking about it? Why is it not on the nightly news? Not even talking about it. So Fareed Zakaria at CNN, I can't believe I'm saying this, and I think Kyle Kalinske had the same response I did, which is, holy smokes. He said, and I don't want to steal his thunder at all, because the way that Kyle put it, I think was apt. He said, this is single-handedly the best piece of video I've seen from CNN. The description and the breakdown of the military-industrial complex is spot on. He's like, I'm not even going to present this with any caveats. Like there's no, he could have done this better or this tweak this better. No. Kyle said, this is perfect. I watched this 3 times last night. And so, Rick, I'm using this to refute your numbers about the amount of aircraft that you say Russia has more than us, that China has more than us. So just watch this and this breakdown from Fareed Zakaria on the military-industrial complex.
During his visit to Asia this week, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin outlined his key concern.
And while we were focused on issues in the Middle East, China has modernized its military. And so our goal is to make sure that we maintain a competitive edge over China or anyone else.
Welcome to the new age of bloated Pentagon budgets, all to be justified by the great Chinese threat. What Austin calls America's edge over China is more like a chasm. The United States has nearly 20 times the number of nuclear warheads as China. It has twice the tonnage of warships at sea, including 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, compared with China's 2 carriers, which are much less advanced.
Did you hear that, Rick? Just want to make sure that's why I'm playing this, so we can talk about actual numbers here.
Washington has over 2,000 modern fighter jets, compared to Beijing's roughly 600, according to national security analyst Sebastian Roblin. And the U.S. deploys this power using a vast network of some 800 overseas bases.
800?
China has 3. China spends about $250 billion on its military, which is a third as much as the United States. Michael O'Hanlon of the Brookings Institution notes that if China were in NATO, we would berate it for inadequate burden sharing, since its military outlays fall well below NATO's 2% minimum. At the height of its imperial might in the late 19th century, when it ruled over a quarter of the world's population, Great Britain adopted a 2-power standard. Its navy had to be larger than the next 2 put together. U.S. military spending remains larger than the next 10 countries put together, 6 of which are Washington's close allies. America's intelligence budget alone, around $85 billion, is much larger than Russia's total defense spending. And yet the US never imagines that this kind of spending could ever be seen by other countries as worrying or threatening. In requesting even more money for his region, the head of the Indo-Pacific Command, Admiral Davidson, remarked on China's increases in defense spending.
I cannot for the life of me understand some of the capabilities that they're putting in the field unless it is an aggressive posture.
But the fact that Washington is spending more on the military than it did at the height of the Vietnam War, even accounting for inflation, should threaten no one. In any case, the size of military spending is a misleading indicator of strength. Far more important are the objective sort and the political military strategy used to achieve those objectives. The US has probably outspent the Taliban by, 10,000 to 1 in Afghanistan. And yet Washington has been unable to achieve its objective there, ensuring that the Kabul government rules the country uncontested. If the United States defines its goals carefully and assembles an intelligent and consistent political and military strategy to achieve them, it can succeed. Without that, millions of troops and trillions of dollars will not guarantee victory. Bigness is not a substitute for brains. Consider two contrasting exercises of power. America's F-35 fighter jet program, bedeviled by cost overruns and technical problems, will ultimately cost taxpayers $1.7 trillion, according to a document obtained by Bloomberg. China will likely spend a comparable amount of money on its Belt and Road Initiative, an ambitious set of loans, aid, and financing for infrastructure projects across the world aimed at creating greater interdependence with dozens of countries that are important to Beijing. Which do you think is money better spent? The Pentagon operates in a realm apart from any other government agency. It spends money on a scale and wastes money on a scale that is almost unimaginable. Every government agency is required to audit its accounts. But for decades, the Pentagon simply flouted this law. In 2018, it finally obeyed, paying $400 million for 1,200 auditors to examine its books. Yet it still could not get a clean bill of health. As Matt Taibbi notes in a brilliant expose of Pentagon accounting, the auditors were unable to pass the Pentagon or flunk it. They could only offer no opinion, explaining the military's empire of hundreds of acronymic accounting silos was too illogical to penetrate. The Defense Department has failed to pass 2 more audits. Having spent nearly 2 decades fighting wars in the Middle East without much success, the Pentagon will now revert to its favorite kind of conflict, a Cold War with a nuclear power. It can raise endless amounts of money to outpace China, even if nuclear deterrence makes it unlikely there will be an actual fighting war in Asia. Of course, there might be budget wars in Washington, but those are the battles the Pentagon knows how to win. Go to cnn.com/Fareed.
Powerful. Now, Rick is right in the numerosity piece about the Navy. It's important to point out that yes, China has more ships, but not even close to the power that we have. Not even in the same ballpark as the report from Brookings Institute lays out perfectly. Even with like a numerosity, we are just a behemoth of power. Not even close to what China has. We crush them.
Well, and actually imagine if we did spend more time, we still have antiquated railroads. We still have antiquated systems in this country. And these other countries, like even look at the internet infrastructure. All these other countries are killing us with internet. You can't go to a hotel and get like good internet anymore, like in the United States. So we put no money. It all goes to war. None of it goes for infrastructure. None of it goes for advancements in technology on transportation or anything. It takes Elon Musk, fighting the system, trying to come up with stuff like that, but gets no help.
Yeah, so you can go to Rwanda and get better internet coverage than you can in the United States. I love to bring out us. We are lower on the internet speed list than the country of Estonia. But we can spend on this. We can buy this stuff left and right. Just imagine if like what they did, like investing in infrastructure. How are we gonna face the next 100 years if we don't do that? It's exactly what he's talking about.
Well, and if you look at any list, of quality of life, healthcare, education, we're at the bottom of all these lists.
All of them. Health, life expectancy now. Brutal.
BK Dan, $5. Good morning, David, Grover, and Clayton. Just wanted to say good morning and thank you for what you three do for me. Wonderful way to wake up to the real as opposed to fake news.
Thank you.
Brandy Kenny and JoJo Strong, new members, welcome. Brandy upgraded to gold and Joe came in at gold. Thank you so much. Rob Jacobs, $5. With UBI $1,000 to $2,000, we wouldn't need a national minimum wage. Tony Breeden, $5. Funny that when Trump was president, SSA got those files out early.
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it? Shocking. But it was also, at the same time, you have this guy rolling back benefits for so you get the checks out early, but here he is trying to undermine the Social Security Administration.
JoJo Strong, $50. Thank you, JoJo. Thank you, Clayton and David, for all you do. You are the only channel I watch for updates related to COVID and stimulus. Any updates from the IRS about what people should do who already have filed their 2020 tax return who are on unemployment?
Yeah, so our tax expert, thank you so much, JoJo, for that super chat. Our tax experts told us here on the show, and I've also read that if you filed your 2020 tax return and you've paid taxes on that unemployment, where you're going to get that $10,200 back, it should be automatic, according to the IRS. It's going to be automatic. And if you haven't filed, then they are later going to have a place where you can go and update that info. But for right now, they're telling us that they're gonna handle it for you automatically, which I hope is true. You got a guy like this at the head of the IRS. I don't know. We'll see, but fingers crossed. So thank you, JoJo, for that one.
Randy Spencer, hey Clayton, in the layout of the infrastructure bill, was there any mention of stimulus payments being part of it? I was asked this by a Gilded user.
There is discussion of it, and there are members who want there to be additional stimulus checks in this infrastructure bill. We don't yet know how that's going to. It's supposed to be about $1 trillion, $1 trillion for health and wellness and humanity, and humanity side of the bill, and then you have the infrastructure side of it, roads and bridges. So I'm hoping that we'll see some sort of extension of unemployment. We'll see another round of stimulus checks in that $1 trillion piece. But there are a number of senators and members of the House that are pushing for that. But according to the reporting, it's not. So New York Times, Jim Tankersley in his report breaking it down, what he's gotten, by the way, don't put all of your weight in this. He's gotten some broad strokes about what's going to be in there, broad. So we don't know if they're going to be specific, like things like a check in there yet, but fingers crossed.
Joanna Hinozo, TM, and Benaya James, new members, welcome. Anna Brown, thank you, Clayton and Grover, for your honest and reliable news and caring for people as you do.
Thank you, Anna. And I think, is that Joanna Hinojosa? Hinojosa, right? Because I remember when I was at Hinojosa, when I was in Fox at LA, Los Angeles, we had one of our reporters, and that's how she would sign off. I forget her first name, but she was like, for KTTV, Fox 11, I am Dana Hinojosa. So that's why
Hinojosa. That's a cool
recognize that name. Hinojosa, yeah.
Stay lit, kill, 99 cents. Thank you. Talking tax, states are starting to extend deadlines regarding state returns. Clayton, for dates, see your email. I sent you the information there.
Okay, perfect.
And Ricardo Castro with a super sticker. Thank you. Sam Smith and Blanca Chiones, new members. Welcome. DJ Tabasco, is Outlet Finance a savings account? Interested.
They are a savings account alternative. Let me pull up their website here. So if you want to sign up for Outlet, you'll get 9% on every dollar you put into savings. I know it sounds like a lot. It's true. I personally use Outlet, and it's a savings account alternative backed by cryptocurrency. That's why the interest rate is so high. Okay, so you go to morninginvest.com/outlet, and you can sign up for however much money you want. It's a savings account, and you'll earn 9% compounded per year. So, for instance, like here, I'll show you my account. This is a little bit of some of my savings in my savings account. So I will show you my personal account so you can see. So you can see the interest on the interest calculator here, right here, 9% per year. Okay. But then you can see the interest that's pending. That's the interest that's going to be sent to me this month or whatever. $60 in interest, just because it's a 9% interest rate. So really, really good savings account alternative backed by cryptocurrency. That's why the interest rate is so high. So thank you for that question, DJ.
Norman Collins, Clayton, what is going on in Georgia right now? Senator Warnock just got rep out of jail.
Well, so I debated on whether or not to do this story. We covered it in the newsletter this morning, but I didn't have enough time to do it in today's show. But, Representative Cannon down there in Georgia went to the governor's office because of this voting bill yesterday. And Governor Kemp of Georgia was behind closed doors signing this bill that removes voting boxes, ballot boxes, makes it illegal for anyone to hand out water and food to people in line while they're waiting hours to vote. So this is like seen as hey, it's easier to go buy a gun in Georgia than it is to vote. And after they lost that election down there, after Republicans lost that election down there, that you bet darn sure they're going to make it more difficult for people of color to go and vote in the United States. That's exactly what happened in Georgia. So Representative Cannon was furious, and she's a representative, and so she went to knock on the governor's office door and demand to see him and wanting to know, like, are you going to sign this bill behind closed doors, you coward? And here's what happened.
Why did she have to step back?
She's like, I'm going to put some hand sanitizer on. I'm going to knock on the door.
The governor is signing a bill that affects all Georgians. Why is he doing it in private? And why is he trying to keep elected officials who are representing us out of the process?
Exactly.
I know you don't have any control over anything other than suppressing people's right to vote and using your guns and your abilities to talk.
Yeah, you said you give her one more time, like you're going to do something. Are you serious?
No, you are not.
No. She's not under arrest.
For what? Under arrest for what? For trying to see something that our governor is doing? Our governor is signing a bill that affects all Georgians, and you're going to arrest an elected representative. Why does the governor have more power than a representative? Why are you arresting her?
That's what I'm asking.
Stop arresting her.
Why are you arresting
Why?
her?
Cite the violation. Cite the code. What is she in violation of? I want you to cite the code. Cite the code. Cite it. What are you? Cite the code. Cite the code. Cite the code. Why are you arresting her? Under what? Under what? Under what law are you arresting her? Why are you arresting her? Why?
So, if you're a white person and you break into a Capitol building, you'll have those officers open the door for you and let you in. But if you're a black woman who is a representative of the state of Georgia, going there to knock on the governor's door to talk to him about a bill that's being signed, you get arrested. It's America.
Zenith Star.
Representative Warnock, or Senator Warnock went down there is furious, spoke with reporters, and he said it's a very sad day for the state of Georgia. And what we've witnessed today is a very desperate attempt to lock out and squeeze the people out of their own democracy. He said people are being locked down and locked out of their democracy. This effort to silence the voices of Georgians will not stand. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below.
Zenith Star, it's completely unacceptable that the U.S. decides that we can basically occupy other countries. Also, why do other nations not all retaliate at once? I mean, it's getting close to that point.
Well, we give them so much money, you know? I mean, this is the beauty of it, right? We funnel so much money to these countries, you know? And we offer our protection. We basically say, we'll build military bases here and we will protect you also.
Have you ever seen The Godfather?
That's what we'll do.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
We walk in, we slap you around a little bit. We tell you, you know, you're going to pay us this amount, but we'll protect you. You're now under my protection.
Yeah. Come on, you can try to do it on your own. Oh, you would be a part of the family.
Crystal Lambert, good morning, y'all. If they pulled out of bases across the world, wouldn't it have an excuse for such a high defense budget? I love my Grover mug, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Grover appreciates it.
Kathleen Rose, any idea when money from UE tax break will go out if you already done your taxes? Need it to pay my state taxes because that makes sense. Y'all rock.
Thank you so much. Any idea when the money from the unemployment tax break will go out? We don't have an answer on that, Kathleen. I wish we know. Does anyone, John or Michelle or any of our other tax team members who are here, they haven't given us any idea of when that's going to be sent out, right? They said it would be automatic, but what does that mean? Joanna says, man, my Godfather impression was awful. What are you talking about? Never go against the family. Sounds like I've just got a hernia or something. Never go against the family.
Daniel Alamillo, $5. Good morning, Clayton and David. Love the show, watching from Southern Texas while working from home. Keep up the great work. And then we got
Daniel and John. Sorry, John Talking Tax says we do not yet know on the guidance on when it's going to go out. Just stay tuned for updates on that. Yeah. So there's a couple of updates we're waiting on. That unemployment piece, the child tax credit piece. There's a couple of other things we're waiting on. So, and when that portal will be built.
Craig Cobbs, Barbara Joe Shepard, and Luisana Munoz, our new members. Welcome. Tammy Edwards, $10. Thank you. Zenith Star, just bought a Socialist State t-shirt. Excited for it to get here. Thanks for everything you do, Clayton David, and especially Grover.
Oh, thank you so much.
And Craig Cobbs with the super chat. And that concludes the super chat.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, there's the Socialist State t-shirt. We designed it to look like collegiate. You know, we don't have to be afraid to use the word socialism. We've just been taught, or we've had it pushed into our brains that it's somehow bad to take care of people. Grover agrees with me. He absolutely agrees. Let me get up real quick. You want to read any more chats here? Let me just grab the, I do have a folder of some pet photos I want to get to here. So let me grab these real quick. I should do this ahead of time. Ooh, I got a lot of them. Okay, not a ton, but let me get these real quick. Actually, maybe there's an easier way for me to do this. What do you think? I can show the browser instead of downloading them.
Yeah.
It's way easier.
Way easier.
Why didn't I think of that?
You know
Why
what we
didn't I
should
think
do?
of that, knucklehead?
What we should do is start a public Google Photos album that people can just drop them in, and then we could just show them online.
Yeah, that would be easier, huh?
Yeah. Then you wouldn't have to have any team member involved.
It's true. Automation. All right, well, I'm dragging these over. And the good questions, the old...
UFO music, how fitting.
UFO music. It does sound a little like X-Files-ish. I want to believe.
You still haven't found my dog pictures yet, huh? My wife said she sent another one yesterday. The dog's name, my name, and the town.
Let me see here. I've got a whole bunch that I'm about to show. So just let me see. This folder over here. Okay.
Yes, there is a photo section in Gilded. We could do that, but the only thing is, like, we'd have to have strict guidelines for people to name it. And I haven't even gotten Clayton set up with that yet, because we're getting ready to start a website, so... Okay, go ahead.
Here's Trixie from Mary Lou Hill in Waterloo, Indiana. Thank you, Trixie. I see Trixie's bag of dog food over there, too. Always on standby. Here's Abigail from Nicaea and Steve. Is it Nicaea and Steve? In Lafayette, Louisiana. That's a cute puppy. Abigail. Here's Bianca from Tina in Kellogg, Idaho. Bianca. Bianca kind of looks like the dog, if I'm not mistaken, kind of like the dog from As Good As It Gets, right?
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson.
No, that was a Griffin. That was a... What the heck was this card? It was... But yeah, that movie is freaking hilarious.
Here's our viewer and friend, Corey Jernigan. Hey, Corey. I know Corey's in the chat. And that's... what's the name of the dog, Corey? Wearing a Saints... how does the dog feel about... what's his name retiring? Why can't I think of his name off the top of my head? My God.
Michelle Edwards just sent a super chat. The unemployment credit doesn't mean you'll be getting $10,200. You will be getting back the federal and state taxes you had taken out. You'll get back.
Yeah, good point. Good point. But yeah, up to 10,200. Derek Ead says, I love the cat scratching story in the newsletter today. Oh yeah, Drew Brees. Drew Brees. Oh, is the dog's name Breeze? No, what's the name of this dog, Corey? I see you. Did you write that yet? Let's see.
El Chapo.
I don't see it. El Chapo. El Chapo.
Jose Pina wants to know, do news reporters use their real name or can they make their name up?
I use my real name. My real name is Clayton Morris. But, I always found it weird. There are people that would get married and then they wouldn't use their married name because they think like, oh, my audience here in Boulder, Colorado knows me by Sharon Oliver. And people's heads would explode if now I'm not Sharon Oliver anymore. I'm Sharon Miller. Like, oh my God. Earth-shattering. What will people do?
Most of the time, the things you think people are going to care about, they don't.
Right. So, yeah, but no. A lot of people do that. Sorry, Here's Dorothy from Troy in San Francisco, California. It's cutie. Here's Finnegan. I like that name, Finnegan. In Louisville, Kentucky, from Melissa Flynn. Finnegan, an Irish. Fuzz Was from Jacques in Louisiana, from Jacques Claiborne. Fuzz Was. Come here, Fuzz Was. That is awesome. Jetson and Marley.
Batman and Robin.
That is hilarious. That looks like Mike Rover on the right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Joe DeFord is asking if we've ever been to Fort Wayne, Indiana. I actually used to live in Fort Wayne. I went to kindergarten in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Lived not too far from the Coliseum.
Wow.
Where my parents
I've done a lot of investing in Indianapolis, but I've spent a lot of time in Indy, but not Fort Wayne. Lisa Grace.
We have a couple more before that. Julie Hunsiker with a sticker. Thank you. Zay, I use TurboTax, and I think that's what gave me a direct deposit date, and now I have a mailing date supposedly to be in the mail today. That's good. Matthew Hooker, $2. Jim Crow 2.0. And Lisa Grace, $50. Can I get a good stock investment?
How about this, Lisa? Let me ask you this. Are you a subscriber to our newsletter? Lisa, just you put it over on the chat on the right-hand side. Are you a subscriber to the newsletter, Lisa? Because Sunday, here's Luna from Becky Vaughter, sent in this cute picture, looking at the... So Lisa, if you are a subscriber to our newsletter, on Sunday, I'm going to be having an awesome stock setup for you that I'm investing in. So I will tell you about it on Sunday, and you're going to love it. So Lisa, make sure you're subscribed to the Morning Invest newsletter. Go to morninginvest.com. Did Lisa answer me over on the right side? Lisa?
I've not seen it yet.
Okay. I will give you something right now, though. On the crypto side, if you're interested in this, today, this one's going to have some interesting news. This one I'm invested in. It's called Measurable Data Token. It's a crypto coin. And I'm waiting on some news today, so because it's going to be big. So you can see it's popping up again. It's got some support lines here and some support lines here and here. So I bought into MDT as a crypto. So that's one little one for you. And we're expecting some news from MDT today, this afternoon. So it could really shoot this thing up. But that's what I'm invested in. I can't give you advice on what to buy, but that's what I bought. Hope that helps, Lisa.
C4 Streets, just wondering why I received my taxes and got back $3K, and I normally get $9K, and I file 3 dependents under the ages of 5, 7, and 10, and received unemployment.
Well, they screwed up. So hopefully they say they will correct it. If they do not correct it, then I assume, like Michelle or John, like they'll have to go to that website. They'll have to go to irs.gov, and they'll have to put that info in the website. Right? I would think. Let's see here. Eventually, like they say they're going to send it, though. I mean, they're saying it's going to be automatic. So I guess we're just waiting to see if they actually send it to you. Again, it's such a crappy process. It makes no sense to me. I'm like, okay, I hope you send it to me. Here's Luna in St. Louis, Missouri from Lisa McKenna. Lisa McKenna from Lisa Larson. That's what it says. Luna, but that's the name of the cute. Here's Maleficent. Maleficent from Talene Johnston. Hey, Talene, are you watching today?
Good movie, Maleficent. Have you seen that? The Disney movie?
Maleficent. With my kids have seen it. I haven't seen it.
Angelina Jolie. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard they like it, so I have to.
Mike 207. Any new word on potential UBI? I know a lot of families that this would change their lives.
Not as of today, but yeah, if you were watching our show yesterday, Mike, did you watch our show yesterday? The UBI from Rashid Tlaib is getting, actually quite a few people are signing on to this. So I guess that is a new word, is that there are more supporters of this bill, which would get $2,000 up front and then $1,000 in universal basic income till the end of the pandemic. Here's Muffin from Michelle Behrens in Lorain, Ohio. Muffin.
Mike Orlando, new member?
Multi-Pekinese, is that what it is? It says multi-peak. Is that Am I saying that right? Multi-Pekinese?
I've never heard of that.
Here's our oldest and young, 8-month-old Molly on the top, sitting on the 14-year-old Yoda on the bottom. from Tina Standerfer. She does what my sister does and my mom would do, is put like a blanket over the couch because of the dog hair.
Deanna Zakarowicz, the Georgia incident is exactly what happened in California, Kern County, months ago, and it was a white or Hispanic woman. Sam Smith, can you please explain the $10,200 refund?
So the $10,200, the way it works is it's not really a refund so much as it's you are... Sorry, can you turn the music down just a hair?
Yeah.
I think I have it tuned up too outside on my side, maybe. There we go. I was like, what is that? Is a train stop? The $10,200 refund is a I don't think it's so much as a refund as if you filed taxes on the unemployment money you got, so you were paid unemployment, right, through the pandemic. If you have to pay taxes on that money. But the government, under the Recovery Act, now says no on the first $10,200. You will not have to pay taxes on the first $10,200 that you earned in unemployment benefits. So if you had already paid taxes on it, and you paid it already, and you filed your taxes, the IRS is saying they will send that money back to you, up to $10,200. Beyond that, you'll have to pay taxes on it, but they're giving you a break. So you basically can earn, you could have earned that unemployment money tax-free. Hope that makes sense.
Michelle Edwards, thank you for the tip on Public. Got my free Apple stock.
Thank you, Michelle. Awesome. Oh yeah, and talking taxes, it's an exempted amount, right? So you're exempt, that's a better way to say it. You're exempted from paying taxes on the first $10,200.
And then last super chat,
so
Mark
if you've already
McClendon.
paid taxes on it, you'll get it sent to you.
Good. Mark McClendon, the Republican Party represent Ayn Rand, an atheist. They are not Christians.
Atlas shrugged.
Yep.
Oh, I think I had one more doggy here. Did I show Elvis yet? Corgi? No. Elvis from TJ11 in Jacksonville, Florida. TJ, are you watching? That's a cute puppy. And I got three more here. Here's Pia with her brother Shady Gray from Lori Suchamel in southeastern Wisconsin. They look like cuddly friends. Pia and her brother Shady Gray. And someone painted a Grover picture? What? Who did this?
That's awesome.
Rocky Shepard painted a Grover picture, a portrait of Grover. That is adorbs. Thank you so much.
You need that on your wall somewhere.
I'm going to hang that up in my office. I'm going to put that in my office. Thank you so much. I didn't even see that. Thank you, Rocky. Is Rocky watching right now? I hope he is. Or her. I don't know if Rocky's a nickname or That's great, though. What a great artist, Rocky.
Brandy Kenny wants to know, what range of money would you recommend a new investor to start with to have a chance to get a good return from it?
Honestly, a few $100s. I mean, look, I'm a real estate investor. That takes more money, right? So I own properties. I build, new construction properties. That's really how I started my investing journey, because I like tangible assets. I'm not necessarily a fan of paper assets and stocks unless it's companies I believe in, like Apple, long-term companies that aren't going anywhere, companies that I use their products on a daily basis, and then cryptocurrency, I'm really bullish on, because I don't trust our government currency to last. And I don't think any of us should if history repeats itself. So with crypto, you can get in pretty easily for a few $100s. Today, I'm going to be publishing a video over on my personal YouTube channel Where is here? Come on over here if you want to learn some investing, where I talk about crypto and some different stocks and real estate. It's just youtube.com/Clayton Morris. And I'm going to be publishing a video in about maybe an hour or two, where I'm going to talk about 3 different crypto coins that I'm investing in right now. And remember, some of these crypto coins you can buy for like 1/100th of a penny. Like, they're that cheap. So if you buy $100, you're getting a lot of that coin. And then if it goes up just a little bit, you're able to see huge returns. I mean, we're seeing like 500, 600% returns in some coins, 1,400% returns in some coins, some of these altcoins. So if you want to check out my other YouTube channel, where I'm going to be talking more about that and some crypto news, come on over there, youtube.com/Clayton Morris. Hope that helps. Like I said, you don't have to use very much to get started. I know one friend who's in one of our trading groups got started with $200 and is now at 26,000 from just trading crypto.
Okay, last super chat. The clip from Georgia made me quote a famous clown. We live in a society. By the way, my bank got suspicious because of all the chats I was sending. LMAO. And Darren Williams, new member, welcome. All right, that's
welcome,
it.
welcome. And final dog of the day, Smokey. Melody Berry sent this one in from Florida. That is a cute. Is that a mini pin? That's a mini pin.
It looks
right?
like one. It looks like that, or maybe a rat terrier. I mean, that looks a lot like Abby,
Smokey.
my Chihuahua.
Well, Grover thanks you for watching today. He thanks you especially for all of your great interaction. And I want to thank Rocky for this amazing picture. This is going on my wall. I need to get, I maybe contact you about getting the original of it somehow. Maybe I can just print it out this way. We'll see. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great weekend. Come over to my other YouTube channel, everyone. youtube.com/Clayton Morris. And I'm going to be publishing some crypto news. If you're interested in investing and learning that stuff, feel free to come over there. David, my friend, have a great weekend. And
thank you, you too. I'm putting the link to your channel in chat really quick.
Oh, good. All right, so the link to the other channel will be here, because sometimes people say they can't find it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. All right, so it's now in the chat. Is it pinned to the top?
I'm pinning it right now.
Let me pin it.
There we go.
Okay. All right, it's pinned to the top, everyone. All right. Thank you, everyone. Much love to all of you. I will see you back here real soon. Bye.